Okay, this video is called New and Improved Jordan Peterson ? So viewers occasionally will write to me, talk to me, and make suggestions, and here's the latest. One of them said to me, "You should be the new Jordan Peterson." And I said, Jordan Peterson's quite different from me. He's a lot better looking than me. He's got a full head of hair. He's tall. Women love tall guys. And they go, "But Jordan Peterson's a phony. He doesn't even believe in God." I said, yeah, I agree with that. And the Christian churches invite him to speak, but no one ever invites me. I'm a real Christian. I know a lot more about Christianity than he does, the viewer. But in Jordan Peterson, he's a doctor like you. I said, well, no, not really. He's a psychologist, a PhD. And actually, he is a very good psychologist in a lot of ways. He's an entertaining speaker. And he does encourage people to, be the best they can be. That's all good. At least he acknowledges the Bible, and he's given some lectures on it that were pretty entertaining. So the viewer, would you refer him a patient for psychology counseling, for example? And I said, no, I would not. Because I think that whatever a person needs to learn from him, they can learn from his lectures, which sometimes are very good. I think when you get beyond that, though, in a clinical point of view, he's an idiot when it comes to pharmacology. He strongly recommends psychiatric drugs, but anybody who's read about psychiatric drugs knows that they usually don't work well in the long term. And people on them long term usually end up worse off, like, the long-term outcomes, schizophrenia, attention deficit, etc. I could go on and on about that. So I think he's a little bit of a secret shill promoting drugs, promoting atheism. That's like promoting communism. And he himself I heard that he was addicted to anxiety medicine. Supposedly, that's what it says, articles about him on the internet. And, that sounds rather irresponsible and stupid at his age that he hasn't figured something out like that yet. Viewer, well, whatever he says doesn't really matter. When it comes to business, he's great. He's a great marketer. He's a multi-millionaire. How much money do you make with your YouTube channel? Me? I don't make anything. It's just a hobby. And then viewer, well, why do you think you're smarter than him when he's a multimillionaire and you don't make anything with your YouTube channel? I said, me, well, I don't make money or get promoted because I tell the truth. It's not a business for me. Viewer, well, what do you mean? What do you mean by, Jordan Peterson being a bullshitter? I said, well, look, he's always promoting a diet like of beef and salt. I mean, for autoimmune disease, that's stupid. And he says that it helps him with his emotional or psychological problems or whatever, I think, his depression or something like that. And the viewer, well, the guy's really popular, especially with single young men, especially with the incels. So me, what's an incel? The viewer, he goes, it's an involuntary celibate. Men who don't want to be celibate but have to be. Me, well, that's the majority of men, okay? And then I also notice he says things like clean your room, and that's kind of like BS. And I think I actually, now that we're talking about it more, I understand why he gets promoted on the internet. He kind of pussifies men. He promotes atheism, that makes people weak, promotes psychiatric drugs, that makes people weak. So he weakens men, okay? And that's sort of like what seems to be the mainstream goal on the internet. Whereas you look at guys who are kind of tough and stoic, self-made guys like Andrew Tate, he gets vilified by the mainstream media, okay? Also, you look at guys that are actually trying to promote freedom, guys like smart men like, Dr. Shiva, Dinesh D'Souza, Tucker Carlson, they all get censored. Tucker Carlson just got fired. That's not good for free speech and making America a better place. And I've also seen several videos where Jordan Peterson's like whining and crying and, acting really kind of weak. And I kind of think that's like the whole purpose of him, almost as like people don't get promoted on the internet unless they're serving a purpose of the big corporations or the Democrats or something. And I think that's the purpose of Jordan Peterson, as far as I can tell, to sort of wimpify and feminize men. Viewer, but he's anti-communist, isn't he? I mean, isn't that a good thing? And I said, I'm not so sure. He says he doesn't like so-called post-Marxist Bolshevism, but here he is promoting atheism, which is like the most important thing to pave the way for communism. So his actions and his words are not the same thing. And also, he doesn't come out and just say the truth. It's pretty obvious. Anybody who looks at American political scene, the Democrats are the American Communist Party, okay? Why not just say that? It's obvious, okay? Also, he's against anonymity on the internet, which in a sense is an attempt to censor free speech. Okay, I think, people should be allowed to be anonymous. If people act like jerks, you can just block them from your YouTube channel or whatever else you want on social media, but it does get a lot more unique opinions out there when some people are speaking anonymously. I also heard that he used to work for one of those globalist organizations. I'm not sure which one, but I know I'm certain that I heard that or read that before. And a lot of people say he's actually covertly promoting communism. And if you're promoting atheism, prevention of free speech, and this wimpification of men, I mean, that's all, in a sense, something that will make it easier for communism to take over. And then the viewer says, well, you're just kind of jealous and you're lazy. You don't want to try to learn how he did it. You should really be studying him and see how he marketed himself, how he became famous. And I go, well, I don't think whatever worked for him would apply to me. Okay, he's famous because the mainstream media promotes him as a way to promote atheism, psychiatric drugs, a meat diet, feminization of men, and in the long run, that's all going to increase the likelihood of communism. I said, I'll never be famous because I don't think communism is a good idea. I like laissez-faire capitalism, that's, free. I like, old-fashioned stuff, Christianity, meritocracy, Constitution. I'm pro-family. I believe in telling the truth, and masculine. I like all the masculine stuff like wrestling. And I also think the vegan diet is by far the healthiest thing. So, anyways, be that as it may, I know the viewer was trying to help me and meant well. So I thought the whole thing was kind of interesting. And I do think people are taken in by Jordan Peterson. I think he sort of like pretends to be like this nice helper guy. But I think the net result of his actions are further, wimpification of the United States and vulnerability to things like communism and loss of freedom.